Carl and Dan here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for sure. And it's track by track time as we are wandering, staggering all the way back to the early noughties for A Feast for the Falling by Senmore Paramedics. Senmore Paramedics are an English thrash band from Leeds. Do you know what they're named after? I want to ask you. I'm going to be quizzing you throughout this track by track.
God knows, man. It's probably like a movie quote.
Indeed, indeed.
Off their lyrics. No, I'm just like that. Like, I guess it's a movie quote, some horror movie, obscure. Like, probably one of the ones that's banned.
You stop talking because you're right, but every time you say more lines, you get more and more wrong. Like, you had it right. It is named after a line from the movie The Return of the Living Dead. So it should be no secret to everyone that the influence to Return of the Living Dead on my life is immense. I have tattoos on my body. Our website, part of it is named directly after the movie, the brains part with the elongated R and the A. The brains part is directly from The Return of the Living Dead. And in The Return of the Living Dead, the line "Senmore Paramedics" is said, and that is what Senmore Paramedics named themselves after. In fact, throughout this entire album, there are a lot of references, not just to The Return of the Living Dead, but zombie movies in general. For me, it is a history lesson. And basically, Senmore Paramedics have had a storied career. They actually split in 2007, then briefly reformed in early 2014 before coming back fully in 2021 to celebrate their 20th anniversary, and then released their fourth album and first in 15 years. That was called The Final Feast. That was a moment. So I do want to quickly tell a story. They contacted us around the time of The Final Feast, having obviously heard of us and wanting us to review the album. For me, it felt like the most cathartic moment. It was spectacular. I've been inspired by Return of the Living Dead. The band that's been inspired by Return of the Living Dead contacted me to cover their album. It was just like, what a moment. I remember jokingly jumping on Twitter or whatever and saying, like, that's it, site's over. We've reached it. We've come full circle. The band inspired by the same movie that inspired the website, part of the website, has contacted us. We're done. We don't need to do anything more. I have no idea what the future holds for them. I really like The Final Feast, but this is a track by track about the debut album, A Feast for the Fallen. However, I also knew going into this was going to be hard work for Dan, because thrash metal obviously isn't really a jam, but also this is a raw early noughties thrash metal, which is, you know, with a punk edge as well. I didn't think you'd maybe come away enjoying it too much.
I could say that I didn't hate it. I've got lots of kind words written. I didn't even really clock that it was thrash. It sounds like super early hardcore to me.
Yeah, with punk as well. It's a lot of things. You are right. I think like the thrash part is just because you call them a crossover thrash band, so to speak, really more than anything else. But I think the thrash thing is just your basic, we need to plug you into a genre because it's easy to do it. But I think there's way more influences across the entire thing. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You nailed that there. The fact you picked up that, by the way, I would expect you to anyway. But yeah, just we'll go through the tracks and we'll get your opinions because yeah, even I've got thoughts, not always positive as well. Sometimes it's negative and stuff like that. We begin with the Hordes. The raw thrashiness of this open is extremely appealing to me. The garish hollow fill blended with familiar chunky heaviness and speed is gold. The vocals though, the pace and style is really punky, and that's where things get interesting. That's where you get this interesting blend. The chorus is a direct reference to the zombie movie. I'm going to be doing this throughout, by the way, explaining all the references. The chorus is a reference to Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead, one of the finest zombie movies ever. And it's the line, when there's no room left in hell, the dead will walk the earth. So yeah, I like the Hordes. Good opener.
I think it's got a certain charm, and I do quite like the old hardcore vibes that I get from it. I think in a live environment, I would get really into this.
That is the one thing I've not done. So I've never seen Senmore Paramedics live.
I'd go see them live.
Cool, cool, cool. Keep your eyes on for that then. Amazing. The pain of being dead. Short and to the point, which often works to this music's benefit. It's quite in your face because of the vocal yelps. Like, I think the vocals are quite yelped here, kind of with a high end. The title, for those who want to know, is a reference to a scene in The Return of the Living Dead where the character of Ernie is talking to the half-woman corpse. One of my favorite scenes, incredibly dark, incredibly twisted, and she explains that the reason they want to eat brains is because it helps them deal with the pain of being dead. I can feel myself rotting. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to do this for everyone.
Yeah, with that explanation, I'm reading the lyrics now and I can see it. Yeah, it's short, sharp jabs, and I can. There's like some little two-step drum moments, which is definitely super reductive of that early 2000s hardcore sound. I'm also quite a big fan of the vocals here. I like that it kind of just sounds like a dude in a small room shouting.
I get that. Yeah, I get that. It's just yelps. I love it. I find them really appealing too. I don't know what it is, but I just find them appealing.
Quite cute.
Yes. Okay, Cannibal. So the intro to this song is a reference to the 1985 George A. Romero film Day of the Dead. Specifically, because I'm a nerd, the death scene of the character Rickles. And if you know that movie, fuck Rickles. Who doesn't like seeing him get killed? The song, though, is a nice slice of manic thrash energy with all the heart-racing vibes of a zombie invasion. I really like the drumming on this one.
Yeah, I definitely see the thrash sound come through more in this one. I think maybe it's a little hard to discern from the last two tracks. Some really nice vocal layering about 1 minute 5 seconds in, which I really appreciated, especially considering how raw the mix is. To hear some like stereo layers come through, I was like, oh, okay, cool.
It is impressive that they managed to do a lot of that because it is a really raw production. You really, so that in fact you're able to discern and pick out as much as we can throughout the album. It shows that this wasn't a fuck up. Like it was, this is what we're going for.
Yeah.
Brrraains. It's 12 seconds long. The intro is sampled from the movie Return of the Living Dead Part 2. There's not much to say here, really. It's a sharp jab of instruments and vocals. It's 12 seconds.
I just wrote yes. I quite like the charm of it.
Yeah. Resurrection Cemetery, named after the cemetery from The Return of the Living Dead. This is one of the more guttural and grim headbangers on the album, but it is also one of my favorite because the guitars have a really nasty tone here. This was right up my straight. Bang into this one.
Yeah, I think it's like one of those like circle pit songs. You play that and I can see it going. I really like the sound of the snare on this one. It's super dinky but really like tucked in. But I don't think as a song overall it's particularly inspiring.
Okay. All right, there we go. Kingdom of the Undead. The intro samples Night of the Living Dead, and this has a nice change of tempos and really sounds horror-like, but does slip into familiar thrashy territory. I'll bet there's a bit more rawness to the vocals. Although, again, picking out good things I like, the guitars are really smooth here. This is where that production and the layering of cleaner tones and sounds with the more raw edge kind of works really nicely.
I agree. I wrote. I like the sampled intro. I love stuff like that. And this one is sounding more spooky, akin to the lyrics I was reading. Obviously, I didn't have all this insight when I was listening to it, but I was just reading the lyrics along with it, and this one certainly has more of those Halloween-y, scary horror movie vibes.
There it is. There it is. I mean, we are coming from this. Go on, sorry.
I just definitely see more of that old hardcore sound shining through here a bit.
Yeah, we are coming from this from two quite different angles. I do think it's important. So, like, you know, I'm looking at this as reference heavy, and I'm picking out all this stuff and all that. These are referencing movies that I've grown up with. I've seen, whether it be Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead, all of these movies countless times. Whereas in most cases, you're probably not seeing any of them. There you go. There you go. I know. I tried, people, but what are you going to do? You can't, you know, sometimes you fail as a parent. Epulum, a 47-second piece of atmosphere, heavy on the dread, with keyboard melody and chanting style voices. It's interesting.
This is fine. Doesn't do loads for me.
No.
Reminds me of like Zealand Ardor now, you know, that sort of thing. Heavy on the Satanism and dodgy soundscape pianos.
Interesting. Okay, Necromancer. The flow here is nice and the bass is strong, but this is a riffy number that pleases my thrash sensibilities. The frenzied approach is still really appealing, and this one stands out by being of a higher quality over a lot of the songs on the album.
Yeah, the mix is certainly different here compared to some of the other songs, which is kind of odd. I don't know why you change it up so aggressively midway through. You still get the charm of that raw sound, but the vocals sound very different to a lot of the other ones. I don't know if maybe they have like a feature on there that they didn't write down or something.
Yeah, I wondered about that as well. And you know, when you're wondering, okay, was this recorded at a different time, at a different studio, in a different way, with a different and then added later? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. The night has 1,000 eyes. Right. Okay. Look, this is where my knowledge makes this track different to what you may know. This is basically, if you know the Return of the Living Dead, you know this song, because this is the theme song for the most part. And this track takes that theme song and gives it a thrashy, groovy, relook. So because of that, because the Return of the Living Dead theme song is such a fucking banger, that any variation on it, I just love. So I love this track. But I know that. You wouldn't have, I presume you didn't know that.
Fine. I have not much thoughts about it.
Okay, Zombie Sweetheart. Guess what? It's Thrashing Mayhem. I'm still into this one, especially as I think this one has that really hardcore punk edge at the forefront.
Yeah, I'd get into this one live a lot. I think the energy is up, and I quite like the lyrics.
Aim for the head. 9 seconds of noise. That's it.
I mean, yeah, even I know that sample.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it. There's nothing with this. It's literally 9 seconds of noise.
Is with a bullet to the head.
And then we have Zombified. This is a groovy banger with some electrifying riffs and a continuation of the thrashy heaviness that we experienced so far in this record. I'm still enjoying it.
I had a lot of, or maybe a lack of thoughts. I think by this point I might have been a little bit burnt out.
Yeah.
Considering how much I enjoyed, Aim for the Head was the last song, but the last like song, this one maybe I enjoyed a bit less. I still like some of the chanted like gang vocal lyrics they put in the middle there, but it's just okay.
That's cool. That's cool. Right. I ran into a problem here, and I wonder if you did. There is, according to the track listing, another track. It's called Untitled Track. So, not available on streaming. on any of them. I went looking on each different one, couldn't find it. Gave up and went, okay, can't find it on that. You know where you go to find it? YouTube. Just couldn't find it. Still couldn't find it. Could not find Untitled Track. Were you able to find it?
No, and also it's 24 minutes long.
I know, which I was fascinated by. But basically,
I'm like, what did you do there? Like,
I am.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, not on YouTube, not on streaming. How else can I find it? A physical copy, I guess, if you could find that these days. But yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why it's not available on the stream. I tried searching around for an explanation, couldn't really get one either. So we can't cover it. I'm just going to presume what it's got. I wonder if it uses a lot of different samples that mainly create an issue for copyright.
I would reckon so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I started to wonder if that's the case. But if you've got any,
I searched for the album on my dodgy Russian music site that has everything, and not even they have it. So
yeah, we don't condone that. But yeah, so like if you've got thoughts on it or heard it, you could please leave it in the comments and tell us what it is, because we're basically missing out. And I think we're both intrigued to know what a 24-minute track has from Assemble Paramedics. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I overall enjoyed a lot of this. This is always up my street. This has got all the elements I like, and I particularly like going back to a time when I didn't really know this band that well. But more, I was very fascinated because this is such out of your time. This is before you were even born, for goodness sake. And whether or not it could appeal to you, particularly as, you know, here's a band that's been defunct for such a long period of time too. And now it's like you're hearing them for the first time. And, oh, what if they played live? Would you be interested to come see them and stuff like that?
I'd definitely be interested in seeing them live. I think this would sound even better in a live environment.
I could picture it as something like the Black Heart in London. Do you know what I mean?
I was literally thinking the Black Heart, so
yeah.
That's clearly where they're meant to be playing.
There you go. Let's hope that happens in the future. Okay, 3 tracks that you would recommend then?
The Hordes, The Pain of Being Dead, and Zombie Sweethearts.
We don't match up on any. Can you believe that? But they are 3 good choices. I've done Resurrection Cemetery, Necromancer, and The Night Has 1,000 Eyes. There it is. A Feast for the Fallen, the debut album for Send More Paramedics. A lot more fun than I expected, and certainly a bit more of an intriguing positive than I expected necessarily from Dan. You got any thoughts that you know what to do? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?